07 Star Citizens, this is another video where I don't really have a script and I don't really have notes, but I really want to talk about something big that happened today and my opinions and first reactions to, which, if you looked at the thumbnail or the title, you will know has to do with the Idris event. We talked about this event in my last video that I released a couple of days ago, where CIG were teasing that there was going to be something to do with the Idris. We had a couple of test events in the EPTU last week, a week or two ago, where people were essentially trying to fight CIG to take over an Idris and pilot it themselves. That happened today. The Capture the Idris event has started. It's going to go for 4 days. There is an opportunity for people to win some Idrises through some competitions, including whoever can pilot the Idris the longest. And overall, it sounds like an absolutely fantastic idea. And then I went into the PU to try to get the event and spent 2 hours refreshing the main menu trying to log on to other people's servers. My first impressions of the event were not fantastic. Luckily, it does seem like the spawn rates of the Idrises has buffed up. There's a lot more Idrises available for everyone, and there's like AI Idrises now, whereas previously we thought it was maybe going to be just devs. And so I'm seeing a lot of footage of people doing this absolutely amazing event, and it's getting me both excited and also a little bit disappointed. And my thoughts aren't going to be super coherent here. I kind of just want to ramble a little bit, to be honest. So first off, there's going to be some footage playing here of Salty Mike. He was able to get into a server that had an Idris working, and at about the same time, I saw like 4 other servers have some Idrises spawning, which is why I'm under the impression that it's a bit more common now. And the experience he got to have was absolutely amazing. Star Citizen is a multi-crew game. It's a multiplayer game. It has single-player aspects, but I feel like the vast majority of the community want to be able to experience this game in these really large battles. There's multi-crew aspects of this game that we have never gotten to experience before, but we got to experience with this. For reference, the way that it works is that a Idris spawns, the mission will spawn on top of it. You need to disable the Idris. Once you do, it'll be disabled for 15 minutes, not 5 minutes. This was the devs have been telling us. Obviously, I haven't been able to do the mission yet, so I can't confirm that for you, but the devs have been saying that that's the case. You then board the Idris, which has usually NPCs on it, or it could also have some devs, or if you've been trying to get a player one, some players on it that you have to fight. You have to get to the cockpit and take it over. So firstly, this is huge because we get to have a proper look at the interior of the Idris, as well as we can get people to use the turrets of the Idris. Pretty much the only thing that's not like there is the engineering part of the Idris, which I imagine once we do get engineering will be quite large. And the biggest takeaway for me watching Salty Mike's encounter was just how amazing it looked and must have felt to be a part of that style of combat. There was plenty of issues, of course. The Idris as a player operatable ship is clearly not designed for a pre-master modes world or a pre-engineering world. Tons and touches issues with that. But there was these moments where even though they controlled the Idris, they would have to protect certain areas of it. They would have to get their guns out and protect the bridge, or call in backup from other friends that they needed to make sure that they could hold on to it for as long as they could. And it really is just at the core of what I think a lot of us want the game to be. Now, let's talk about the bad things. Essentially, this is kind of like the Platinum Ticket event for the F8C that we had last year, which, while cool in concept, the Platinum part, not the Gold Ticket part, the Platinum part was cool in concept. In practice, it was kind of bad. It was too hard for people to actually experience that gameplay where they got to see the devs with those ships. This does get solved a little bit by having AI ships as well, but I think we're going to have to look at the data from the next 4 days really carefully to see if there was enough reasonable opportunities for people to see this cool new feature. And I do think they can up the spawn rates of these vehicles, because they are only giving away, I think it's 2 or 3 Idrises. I'll put the link of the contest down below, and only one of those is going to the person who piloted it for the longest. So you can have a bunch of these Idrises going around, a lot more than we did for the F8C, and it's less of an issue because it's not like everyone's going to get a free Idris. Couple of other issues. There was a lot of people thinking that all of this hype around the Idris was going to lead to the release of the Idris into the PU, which was obviously not the case. And there was a lot of... It's the first time that I have noticed marketing from CIG been a bit awkward and not misleading, but probably deliberately vague. There could have been a lot more communication about how this event is going to work in the past couple of days, and we just didn't see that. And that sucks. That's a bit unfortunate. I also think I would have liked to see people who own Idrises have the ability to use their Idris during this event. I do still think that servers are a bit too small for player-owned Idrises to actually be allowed to undock anywhere. I think there's only like 2 places where they can undock anywhere at the moment anyway, one of which I think is Grimhacks. But it feels bad for people to be able to use the Idris, and then the people who have paid the money for the Idris see that it's fully operational and not be able to bring it out themselves, right? I am all for these very fun, unique events where you have to do these special tasks or discover something, right? But I would like to minimize as much as I can people feeling bad about it. All of those issues, though, I don't think are at the moment large enough to make me not like this event. We did spend 2 hours fully kitting a Retaliator and a Hammerhead with distortions prior to this event. It would have been great to have been communicated a bit better about how the event was going to work so that we didn't spend that entire time doing that, and instead it's more of an opportunistic thing. Even that aspect of it, of getting a massive crew together in preparation for a large attack, was super, super cool, super interesting. So, like I said, this is kind of a rant and a bit of a ramble, but I just really want to talk about this event. The takeaway, I guess, that I have of it is I would genuinely love to see this become a regular dynamic event. The idea of boarding a ship or having to protect yourself from boarding a ship is so integral to what I think a lot of us think of as large-scale PvP, even PvE gameplay in the future. This is org gameplay. Orgs right now for these next 4 to 5 days have an actual thing to do in game that isn't bounties. And that's awesome. I think that's essentially it. I just wanted to talk about that. We're definitely going to be talking about this on Answer the Call this weekend. So if you have any opinions on the entire subject matter, please join us on the podcast on Sunday. You can follow the link here. And if you have any opinions about the event at all, please let me know in the comments below. Unless you say that it's a streamer event, in which case, still comment anyway, because I need the interactions.